Okay, well, there's the secret signal. Not so secret signal. Welcome, everyone, to Public Works and Finance. I am Julia Parker. This is Sandra Kelly and Drew Davis. And Cody is here for Bill. Let's see. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the January 23 minutes.
I think we should approve them.
I agree.
Agreed.
Okay. Next thing on our agenda is the Inland Cellular Wireless Lease Agreement Amendment.
Okay, I'll walk you through that just briefly. So Inland Cellular actually has an agreement with the city that dates back to, I believe, 2003. And that agreement included kind of a cost escalation clause that was quite complex based on the CPI and really inconsistent with the way we practice things now and moving forward. So the only thing that's proposed, the amendment before you today, is that we adjust this agreement to use a 3% cost escalation clause annually, like we do with all of our more recent agreements. Nothing else in the agreement changes, and then that would be in place until the current agreement with Inland expires in 2028. So we are recommending approval of that one change to the agreement.
Have you talked to them already about that? Is this going to come as a surprise or? Okay,
It's been part of the negotiation process for a while.
great.
They requested it.
Okay.
It's their ask, yeah.
What makes it so complicated? Isn't it the CPI divided by 5?
There's actually a provision to where it can drop certain years, and then a notification process for us reaching out to them, and this just standardizes it even for our own administrative purposes.
Okay. Well, hopefully we won't have any massively different inflation rates. Yeah.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay.
And this is the intent that this be consent.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Drew,
Yeah.
got anything?
Got nothing on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next on our agenda is the disbursement report with Sarah Banks for January 2023.
I'm sitting in for Sarah today.
Sorry.
I'm Renee Tech.
Thanks for subbing in, Renee.
Yep, not a problem. So major expenditures for 2023, total expenditures were $2,945,769. The major expenses were 96% of that. In addition to payroll, some of the high points are we made a couple payments for the 6th Street Bridge for about $56,000. We made a payment on the Paradise Creek flood mitigation study for $34,000 in round numbers. Wellhouse 6 replacement, $172,740. Milton Arthur playground equipment, $85,080. We paid January through March Whitcomb user fees, $200,816. We made a payment for the booster station phase 2 of $131,622. Third and Lily catch basin replacement, $22,440. And the second quarter smart transit pledge of $32,544.
Just to make sure it's, I was on admin last year, so I was paying attention, but didn't look at the numbers. All of that's normal, right? I mean, it's just no surprises popping through, I guess is what I'm asking.
No surprises.
Okay.
No.
Is that, I don't remember, is that about what we pay for Whitcomb in general?
That is the budgeted amount for the quarter for this year.
All right.
Right.
I did notice this silly typo. I'm just going to point it out.
Did you find it?
I did find it. It's on page 12 under sanitation, and it says lead collection for Lake Tahoe sanitation, and I'm guessing that's leaf collection. Okay. I just wanted to know if we were collecting lead.
I'm impressed that you found that typo. I'm just going to call you out on that.
What a
That's-
random thing to find.
I think we should
All right.
put that on consent. Sounds good.
We approve that and authorize our digital signatures
Yep.
to just sign that
Okay,
report.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the Good Samaritan Pathway reconstruction.
Good afternoon. I'm here to talk to you today about the Good Sam Pathway reconstruction project, restoration project. Just give you a little bit of a background on this project. In the floods in 2019, a section of the Paradise Pathway adjacent to the Good Sam complex and adjacent to the creek was destroyed and torn up. So we looked into doing a reconstruction of that pathway in the 2021 budget. So we put a project together, went out, assessed the pathway. There were other portions of the pathway that were destroyed by tree roots and things like that. And given the high use of that area and the mobility challenged tendency of the users, we decided it was a good idea to really kind of do a full reconstruction of the large majority of the whole pathway, not just the disturbed sections. Unfortunately, in 2021, we didn't get a lot of interest in the project, and it got shelved. It didn't get carried forward in 2022 or 2023, but in January 20th, we put it back out to bid for a semi-formal bid, and we did get one bid back from Motley & Motley. The engineer's estimate was $124,320. We did get a bid from Motley & Motley on January 27th for $106,420. We decided to look into moving forward with the project. We, even though it wasn't in the budget for 2023, we did have a significant amount of money allocated for some park improvements along Mosier Park that was going to be done congruently with a subdivision up in the Atani. I can't remember which edition it was. It was up off of Atani, and so. Since that wasn't going to move forward, we had the money to move forward with this project. So staff is recommending that we award the project to Motley & Motley for $106,428.
Are you redoing the entire pathway around Good Sam, or?
It's yes. So from F Street out to Eisenhower, I believe is the north-south road. We are going to resurface all of it.
Nice.
We're going to reconstruct. We're going to reconstruct the portion that was destroyed, which means we're going to rip out the existing asphalt and the patches that the Parks Department put down in order to make the pathway serviceable in the meantime. And we're also going to rip out the asphalt in the area where the tree roots have destroyed the pathway. Outside of that area, we're also going to do an 1.5 inch overlay on the rest of the project.
Nice.
So with this project, we will have a complete new surface from F Street to Eisenhower.
And that's not going to mess up anything that was done. I know a lot of erosion work was done from the path down to the creek.
Yeah, it shouldn't have an effect on. We shouldn't interfere with the creek or the erosion work. The vegetation disturbance will be largely within 5 feet of the pathway or so. We have to do, in order to prep the site for the overlay, we're going to have them go in, scrape back the vegetation away from the edges of the asphalt, kind of expose all of the asphalt. Vegetation tends to grow up and over, and so we're going to have them do that. And so there will be some disturbance, but it'll be largely within the pathway corridor, not
Nice.
shouldn't extend out towards the creek.
I'm excited that's going to get done. As someone who has tripped over that more than I'd like to admit, that'll be great. It's a great walking area, so I'm glad to see it.
And I've going out there looking at it for this project. It gets used a lot more than I thought it was.
Great.
So, yeah.
I have a couple of questions on this. Did I misread that we're going to change it from the chip seal to asphalt? I mean to concrete? Is it just going to stay the same as that?
No, it's
Gravelly.
it's going to stay asphalt.
Okay, I don't know.
Sometimes
I probably just didn't understand.
well, and it can be confusing. Sometimes asphalt does sometimes get referred to as asphalt concrete, which it's still an asphalt binder base and not concrete. So you may have read something in either an estimate or in the specs that referred to it as asphalt concrete, and that would have been confusing.
And my other question is, so I love this path. I worked at Good Sam. I used to walk my residents out there. But isn't this private property?
It is, but we have an easement. We have an easement through the property that gives us permission to maintain the pathway.
Okay, thank you.
How many lineal feet roughly is it from Eisenhower? Like, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can sure. We're looking at about 1,500 feet.
Okay.
With about 700 feet of that being complete restoration.
How long will it take? You know?
Once the construction starts, it probably won't take much more than a couple weeks. We do have a little bit of a decent window as far as when they can start work, but I believe we gave them 30 days once they start work
Nice.
to complete it.
Then one more question for you, not to catch you off guard, but with the tree roots being a problem, what's the kind of long-term? Is there a long-term solution or?
So the way we're going to handle the tree roots is those are the areas where we're doing the reconstruction. So as we reconstruct the path, we'll build that up with gravel to the point where we're going over the tree roots, and we have some extra room, and then we'll pave over top of that.
Okay.
Great.
You want to recommend acceptance of the bid from Motley Incorporated?
I do.
Certainly consent. That's your
Great.
Is that what-
Seems like we should.
Consent?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have the Lincoln South of Public Sewer Project. Bid
Yeah.
results and contract award with
Yep.
Nate.
And this is one of the ones, it's a fairly simple project. So this is one of the times you'll get me without a PowerPoint presentation. For a little bit of background, this is the section of Public Avenue east of Polk Street and west of Orchard, and Lincoln runs to the south off of that. So this project came about as part of the CIP, and it was necessary to replace a large line that was showing some root intrusion and is also currently not an easement. It runs under a house. And so the desire was to relocate it into the right of way, as well as to repair some of the issues that we were seeing. So we advertised for bids on January 14th, 2023, and our estimate for this project was $411,405. And we saw a really great turnout on the bids. We've got a lot of out-of-town bidders, Post Falls, Rathdrum, Spirit Lake, that sort of thing. And so we saw some great competition, and the low bid was $352,426. So we're actually starting to see some of the pipe costs that have escalated coming back down a little bit with some competition. So based on that, we don't, I mean, this is great news all across the board. So he didn't have any qualms with recommending that we award the bid to Big Sky Corporation in the amount of $352,426 and authorize change orders not to exceed 10%. And are there any questions?
You've worked with them before.
We have.
Yeah.
So they actually did one of the phases of the trunk line out
So-
through Guy Wicks Field, and they are doing the Lily Street reconstruction as well. So
All right.
Yay.
I don't have any questions on this one.
right, it's,
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And I think
So-
consent.
We can put that on the consent agenda.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next we have the Palouse Groundwater Basin Water Alternative. That's not right.
Too many waters and too many basins in there.
Yeah, alternative supply contract extension. Sorry, that's a lot of words.
You're just fine. Good afternoon. Happy to be here. This is something that's come before the council twice at this point. The city of Moscow has administered contracts historically for PBAC. And this is one that PBAC had asked the city of Moscow to administer. This is the alternate supply study. And as we came to the close of the bulk of the work from the alternate supply study in July of 2022, PBAC extended Alta's contract by $50,000 to do some additional work on filling data gaps for the identified alternatives and to help us further refine the rankings for the preferred alternatives. That work continues. The latest extension is set to expire on March 1st of this year. And so what's before you this afternoon is just an extension of that contract. So there's no additional funds being applied to this. This is just some additional time to finish the tasks that were identified. Just as a reminder for the council, for the committee, excuse me, the funds were preloaded into the city of Moscow's account. So we invoice PBAC for the full $50,000. That's sitting in our coffers. And then whatever amount is left over, if any, the city of Moscow would then reimburse to the Palouse Basin Aquifer Committee. So in that way, the city is protected so that we don't incur any sort of financial liability that's outside of the city budget. So this just adds time to May 31st to continue and finish up some of the work that had been identified for that extension. And I am happy to field any questions you all might have.
May 31st is enough time?
I think so, Sandra. For what we have identified, really the remaining task that Alta is being asked to engage in is to have, in particular, one of their subcontractors, Jacobs Engineering, who is a water rights expert, take a really hard look at the realities of water right acquisition for each of the preferred alternatives, because that'll really help us move forward the conversation about what may or may not be more realistic as we pursue these alternatives. And so that work is something that they already have done preliminary work on. So they really just need to do some refining work on that.
So Jacobs is a consultant to Alta?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
You're good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, they are.
That makes sense.
Okay. I just want to note that I had 2 encounters this week where somebody told me nobody is doing anything about the water issue. It's like,
It's really,
I don't know. We need to be out there with a giant billboard that says.
It's a slow process, but I'm really encouraged. This is the most movement we've seen in decades
Yeah.
on water.
I
in
agree.
this
I
basin.
agree. We just
Yep.
need to rent a flashing billboard or something. We're working on it.
Well, and part of this work is an updated communication plan, and so there will be increased and far more robust communication as we move forward out to the community. But encouragingly, in the latest polling that we received through PBAC and then through the Water Summit, and then also through the citizen survey, of an increasing number of people are aware of the water issue. And so the messaging that has happened is getting out there in a way that it hasn't before. And so in some ways, it's encouraging that those conversations are happening, because that means that people are aware that it's an issue. Whereas before, a lot of times you'd just be met with a blank stare when you told people that there was a concern about water here.
True. All right.
Yes, and a consent?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is the 1912 Center Northeast Room, second floor naming proposal. Is
sit
it
down,
just
but
me
he's
or-
joining me.
Excellent.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us today. So I'd like to welcome back Jenny Kostroff, the Executive Director of the 1912 Center with Heart of the Arts. And she's been doing it since 2007, if I
good little
recall.
while.
16
A
years.
good little while. And so we've got a couple naming proposals, each a different agenda item, but I was going to turn the floor over to Jenny.
Hello, everybody. So I'm excited today to bring two naming proposals forward. So we'll start with the Chinlu Green Dragon Game Room. So if you look at our map of the second floor behind you, the Chinlu Green Dragon Game Room is the northeast corner of the second floor, and it is used weekdays for gameplay by the seniors. And this naming came about because the Chin and Liu families owned the restaurant down on Main Street that had the back bar that is now located in that space. And when they found out that we'd adopted their old refrigerator from 1947 and put it into the room, they thought that was super cool and wanted to go ahead and sponsor the space. So that's the back bar that used to reside in the now Worcester Pizza location downtown. And a super fun collaborative opportunity for them to keep a piece of their family history and our downtown restaurant history, and then enjoy it as a place to store games in the space. So the Green Dragon name comes from the mahjong tile. That's an auspicious mahjong tile, and the mahjong players were the primary fundraisers for the initial renovation of the space, with the Chin Liu family coming in to finish that out. They made an $80,000 contribution to name the space, and we would install a permanent plaque on the entry point for that room, and it would then be referred to in its longer title for formal occasions with the shortening game room for those quicker interactions with individuals who are renting or using the space. And we will actually be putting a family photo of the Chin Liu family in the space, as well as a QR code for that back bar so that you can learn the history of where it came from. It was actually a U of I student that designed it and had it put together for the family restaurant in 1947. It was built and it stayed there for its whole time until it came to our building. So it has a life, and now it feels like it's always been there because it's got the right
Good.
look to the space. So it's super fun, repurposing. So that's item number one from me.
Are you going to have anything for people that don't use smartphones to tell them what that is like?
Yes, Sandra, I do know how much you dislike the QR code. Not everybody's a fan of that, so we will also have a nice little booklet that tells the story that'll be in a drawer of that, as well as we also have received several items from the family of their restaurant days that we're putting in a case in the room. So the Historical Society and our organization, Heart of the Arts, are partnering to make sure that that's a really nice display in the space as well. So there will be fun stuff for those non-computer phone
Excellent.
types. But bonus features for those with a QR
That's a
code.
shame that
I
you have to have bonus features for folks that not everyone
Nah,
have
you
the same thing.
never know. There's got to have something for everybody.
Yep.
A little tiny touch of something. So that's the first one from me.
That's great. It's a generous donation.
Yeah, very generous.
It's a great room too. It's super comfortable in there. It looks really good.
So I would recommend we approve the name of the northeast room on the second floor of the 1912 Center to the Chin Liu Green Dragon Game Room,
Yeah.
and put that on consent agenda.
We would naming a public space.
Oh, do we have to?
We would suggest just placing that. We anticipate a fairly light agenda, and so this might be something.
We can do a little dance to go
I
with.
think, yes, all that's great, but I also think maybe we should, whether it's from the city or from Heart of the Arts, to get something in the paper, because we can't count on it happening just from the city council meeting.
And we
after the fact. Since
We do plan to have something for
Awesome.
the two spaces that we'll do a press release from us once this has gone through the official channels, because we want people to come check them out. And if we get this all done this month, we have a winter market on the 4th of March that we plan to have the new, these lovely little signs put in place. And that way we can also have a press release that encourages people to come check them out.
Okay, awesome.
So that's part one.
Okay.
Are we ready
Next
for
on the
part two?
agenda is
Part two.
the other room. the
Ta-da!
Southwest room.
We flipped the sign. So it goes to the other report. So yes, so it is the southwest space is our historic classroom. This project has been in the works since the beginning of renovating the 1912 Center to have a historic classroom for the community. We have been using this space this past fall to do our pilot program for taking students back in time to 1913 school to have the experience of learning a curriculum that was 1913's curriculum for fourth graders. It's been very well received, and we had the Barr family, Steve Barr, approached us about sponsoring this room so that it could be named the Barr Family Historic Classroom, but on top of that, celebrate his family's love of learning and make sure that it was fully funded to be renovated. So that was another $80,000 contribution made by Steve Barr on behalf of his family to name it the Barr Family Historic Classroom. So this is our other proposal today. And if you have questions.
How many classes have you had in there? Do you know?
We've had a total of 3 and 5, so 8.
Nice.
8 student groups have gone through this fall, and we have grant funds to be able to support that activity. Outside of when it's being used for the historic classroom space, that space can be rented by the community. It's not on our public calendars because it does have the program as its primary, with also historic visits, like we're planning to open it during the ice cream social this year that the Historical Society has, so people can tour the classroom. So we want to have it sort of be a living history museum type space to showcase what that space looked like in 1913 when the building was originally built, but with the idea that you can rent it, and any rental revenue we generate from that room is going back into that historic classroom program for the students.
Are the desks original?
Not from the room, but original to the era, within the range of like the early 20th century. So the, or the 19th, what century would it be? 20th? It is 20th. It's the one before anyhow. So they were collected from all over, and it's been a number of years that the Historical Society has been collecting them. And then we sort of, when people got wind that we were building the historic classroom, they ponied up. People were like, I have one in my garage. I have one in my house. I would love to donate it. So we got all of those assembled and refurbished and put them on runners, so you can see they're on a runner base, so they can be removed from the room, but they're on little 2 sets, so they can be rearranged more easily too. It's not the whole batch of 4 along a row, but that allows us to get some distance for taller kids that you can scooch them apart if you need to, but they're safe for the kids to use, and they're really fun. I keep waiting for some modern class to use them for like an alternative experience. So they're sitting in these old desks, but they're learning about computers or something like that. But we'll see how the community comes to use this room. We will have the stories over the years.
It's really cool.
Yeah, turned out cool.
I know it's a long time in coming, so it's really great to see
Yeah,
it to this point.
it's interesting to look through the original use committee from the city's paperwork talking about we will have a historic classroom, and I'm like, and we do. Like it just took a long time, but we keep plugging. We're the little engine that could up there.
Yay.
Great.
So yes,
Yes.
approve. And I guess you'll have to come back for this one too.
I have no
so.
problem coming back for these, and I would sing our praises all the
I
time.
know, that's great. Thank you.
Love the
I believe
1912
that's,
Center.
Annie Shinneman there.
That would be yes. My daughter and my employee Mary Conniff are playing the teachers. They actually stay in character and admonish the kids when they don't get the pledge right for 1913. So that's always fun because they have it written on the board, and the kids will do the one that they know now, and it throws them off. They're like, it's just, students, what are you saying? Let's start, and they do the yardstick on it so that they go word by word, and the kids go, oh, that's different, and it's a lot of fun because it makes them sort of realize that things have changed, and they get to use chalk and they get to use nib pens, and they wear a costume. They're all wearing these little sailor collars. You can't really see it super great in the picture, but they've got collars because in the 19 teens, the sailor collar was very popular, both men and women. So we decided that was the costume, made it very easy for the kids to have a part in the suspension of disbelief that you are in 1913 school. So
Great.
it's a really fun program.
It is very cool.
Thank you so much. I'll see you, I guess, next week.
Thank you for having us this afternoon.
Yay.
All right, that is the end of our agenda.
I think we should
Ready
adjourn.
to adjourn?
Ready?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I know too.